Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our webinar this morning. I am here with Alison. Hello, Alison. How are you?
Hi, I'm great this morning.
We're having a few little Wi-Fi issues, but no, we all understand that because of Ireland and its lovely, wonderful Wi-Fi connection system. So, Alison, tell us a bit about yourself for people who don't know you. I'm just going to go and put this link into the group.
So I'm Alison. So I joined the network a few months ago now, and really enjoy being part of it. And really, I founded Iden Consulting, which helps businesses to stay in business. So we focus on businesses that are already trading, so post startup and mature. And if they're having issues in their business, or they're wanting to grow, then we can help work with them to identify how to do that, to keep having a viable business and one that you can have sustainable, profitable growth for the future.
Brilliant. So to kind of break that down for us, what you do is you help people that might know they have potential, but they're not really sure what the next steps are, and you can help them with a business plan, which you're going to today. And also you also help people get finance as well, don't you? Filling in forms. I hate forms, Alison. Does anyone else hate forms? I do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Exactly. So a big part of what I do is I really deep dive and work on the strategy, because I believe that that's the foundation, and you'll see that in a little bit of what we'll go through today. And then as well, it's how do you build the business plan, and if you need finance and things like that, then the forms quite often can put a lot of people off. So we take that over people, and we can complete those forms for you, and as well. Work on tender documents as well. I know, because actually terms and conditions are one of the things I love. I'm such a geek. I know, but I've got quite a lot of experience in that from large corporates and working in a very T's and C's ruled industry. So it's something where I find that, if you can be really smart with your terms and conditions with suppliers and things, it can be so beneficial to your business.
That's very interesting. Terms and conditions is something people often ask about. So you would do a call with someone, and then you would go away and write them up and stuff like that, is it?
Yeah, so quite often they'll have a template, a bit of a generic template that maybe they've written themselves, or maybe they've got a solicitor to help them with. But then I believe that you shouldn't be giving out generic terms and conditions, because every contract is going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
So I'll go in and I'll understand who's going to be the end user of that, who's going to be using the contract. And then I'll make some suggestions of terms that are going to be beneficial to you and mutually beneficial, because as well, you don't want to be too tough, because then they're never going to work with you again.
True. Yeah, that's great. Brilliant, Alison. So that this is great, and this is why we do these webinars as well, is so that we can get to know more about our members and what you do, so that who is the go-to person in this. So that's great to know. So Alison, tell us a bit about why you decided to do this topic. Business plans aren't scary.
So business plans, I think, are something that are really essential to business. And I think that they can open a gateway to so many options, and it's a way of putting your business out there that is understandable to a lot of people.
Okay.
But it's something that requires a little bit of work. And I kind of liken it to the whole CV kind of scenario. If I ask you, Sam, okay, will you update your CV, right? You're going to put it off and put it off and put it off until the last minute. And you're going to be incredibly modest. Now, I'm assuming maybe you're not. Maybe you're going to be out there pushing yourself, which would be fantastic.
Actually, it's funny. Sometimes I do forget some of the achievements we've had.
Yes, and quite often on CVs, we're incredibly modest. And that's where it's a time where you really can't be. You need to be championing your accomplishments. And it's exactly the same with your business plan. And so I want to kind of demystify and show you that it's not really that hard. It's all in here, but you need to package it right. And packaging even is quite easy.
Okay, well, let's go for it. Are you ready, ladies? Have you got your notebook and your pens? And Joanne says good morning, and Mary and Neve, everybody is here. Hello, everybody. Lovely to see you. So I'm going to add this to the presentation. There you go.
Okay, fabulous. So we can all see that now. So let's get started. Click. Okay, so there are some different times and scenarios as to why and when you might need a business plan. And I've put down the main three. There are many, many more, but these are really the main common three that you'll be asked to prepare one. So one is funding. So in this application process, you might be asked to do a pitch, or it might just be to submit for review a business plan. And when you're doing the business plans for funding, they need to have a really high level of detail, specifically on financials, financial projections, market size and the penetration of your market. So as in how much of that market do you think that you can get? And as well, understand who are your competitors. Then you have the bucket, which is loans or grants. So some loans and grants will not require you to do a business plan, but you might have to write out a lot of information. And that information on the application forms is exactly the same information you'd have in a business plan. They might not need the same level of detail as some funding, but you will still need to demonstrate that you have a good understanding of your financials and market. And then as well, there's a softer side to business plans. This can be a really good way of quickly onboarding senior members to your team. So maybe you're a growing business and you want a co-founder, or you want to hire a senior manager. This is a really good way of giving them a document, and straight away they're going to understand your vision, they're going to understand your direction, and they're going to understand what markets should they be going after for the future. Okay.
Excellent.
So what are the formats? So there's basically just two formats, and sometimes you'll be asked for both, and sometimes you'll just be asked for one. Okay. So the format is really, you either have a summary and an in-depth, which is normally, a PowerPoint and a document. Okay. Never send a document that is in an editable form. Always PDF it, unless it's specified that they want it editable. You should always protect your data. Okay. And then as well, sometimes you're only asked to give a summary, which would be a PowerPoint presentation. Okay. So how do you start? Okay. Like every building, you need to start with foundations. Okay. Without a really strong foundation, you're not going to be able to put this into a good, understandable tool that will communicate your business to outsiders. Okay. So your foundation is your strategy. Okay. Without a strategy, you won't know how to write your business plan. Okay. Because it's all going to be in here, and it's going to be buzzing around, and it's not going to be coherent. And when you're applying for funding, or you're applying for a loan or a grant, you want to look as professional and as coherent and as expert as you possibly can. Okay. So a really simple tool that I like to use is the House of Strategy. Okay. Now, it looks horrible, and I get it. It's not the nicest slide in the world, but think of it as a process. Okay. This is not something that you're going to present within your business plan, but you're going to pull the information out of it to populate it. So something that is becoming more and more important in a business plan is your values of your business, not of you, not of the business owner, but what are the values of your business, right? So is that you want to be seen as the expert within a certain sphere, or do you want to be known as being trustworthy?
Well, with the Women's Inspire Network, I want to be known as the biggest, friendliest, most supportive online network in the world.
See, that's amazing values. And once you know those values, then you're able to translate that into a mission. And remember, the difference between mission and vision is that mission is your purpose. So you want to help people to connect in a network, right? And your vision would be, you want to be the #1 women's network globally, right? And the key with a vision is, don't be afraid to think big. Think big. There's nothing wrong with having aim for the stars and you'll hit the moon, right?
It's funny, you know, Fred Carlson from DoneDeal, he said that when he was starting DoneDeal, he wrote on his whiteboard, I want to be the biggest online marketplace. And he actually wrote it in big letters on his, and then he sold it. So
it's incredibly powerful for the mindset, because if you say, I want to be the biggest network in Rosslare, right?
I am the biggest network in Rosslare.
Woo! I mean, fabulous. Okay, you've achieved that. What's next? And then you're having to constantly redo it. Why not just go for it and say, okay, I want to be the biggest #1 women's network in the world, right? And all of a sudden that mindset changes. And once you've understood your values, your mission and your vision, then you can work on your goals, right? And these goals might be, okay, I want 5 new members a month.
Yeah.
Right? Or I want to achieve this by then. And the key here is what, by, when. It has to be time bound. If you don't do it time bound, honestly, you'll never do it.
Okay.
Right?
So what do you want and by when?
Yes. Nice. And this is a really nice model that is really simple, but it just frames it very, very simply in your head. And this information is all going to go in your business plan, right? So it's a really nice way of putting it all together. Now, you'll have heard so many people talk about your story, right? But when you're presenting anything or you're putting anything out to an audience, it has to be a story. You have to have a start, a middle, and an end. You have to lead them along the way. You have to be able to communicate it. It has to flow. You can't just jump here and then I'm over here and then I'm over there and then I'm over there, because people are going to just forget about it. They're not going to follow. But you just lead them along a path and you give them the information nice and slowly, let them digest it, and just keep dropping in little snippets that reinforce key points, okay? And those key points are always your values normally, and how successful or how your experience, okay? So as you go down this journey, you need to have different components, right? And there's always, I'm going to call them buckets, because it's not an A, B, and C. It's not a 1, 2, and 3. It's a who we are. So this is basically everything you did on the House of Strategy. It's your values, your mission, your vision, a little bit about your bio, your experience, and why are you different, right? You as the individual and the leadership team, right? Then you have the market and the competitors. So what is the market today? Can you estimate the market? How much of it do you want to own? Now, this can be an absolute minefield to get this information. This is where Google is your friend, right? You need to stalk the market, right? Find out who are competitors that are offering similar packages to you, similar services to you, similar products, and then investigate them, right? And understand, why are you different? And then try and work out how busy they are. And if the market for selling, I don't know, lip balms in Ireland is 100%, how much do you think that you have today? Is it 1%, right? Is it 3%? And then tomorrow, with your actions and your vision and your steps, which come from your goals that you've defined already, if you follow through and deliver on those goals, in year 1, in year 3, in year 5, is that 1% going to grow to 5%? That's what you want to be thinking about, okay? And
Okay.
honestly, it doesn't have to be in specific, unit sales and things like that. It's all about the strategy of how you're going to go there and the target to demonstrate that you understand that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you've got the financials, okay? The financials, depending on who you're going to present to, are really important that you can demonstrate that you understand them. It's not good enough to just have your accountant put them together and you haven't looked at them. You need to be able to understand them. You need to be able to make a projection for the future. So if you make action on goal number 1, 2, 3, and 4, how is that going to translate into a financial impact? And how is that going to go? And then as your business is growing, is your cost base going to increase? So you would have things like more staff, maybe, that you might have to take on, more logistics costs, packaging, right? Electricity, because you're having to work longer hours, heating, right? Those are additional costs that you need to make sure that are built in there so that you have numbers that are easily understood, but that are justifiable. And if you can't justify them, that's when you're going to have a problem. Now, the thing is that I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this slide because I think it's important. Why I said at the start it's not an A, B, and C is because who your business is and who you're presenting to is completely unique in every scenario, okay? So if you think Dragon's Den, the TV show, right, and you listen to them, around 90% of the time they invest in the person who has a good product or a good idea. They're not necessarily investing in the product, right? It has to be good, yes, but they're always focusing on the person. So their business plan would be very heavily loaded on who we are. What's my story? What can I do? What's my experience? And then the market and the financials would come after. Now, if it's all about the product and you're secondary to it, okay? Maybe it's the best new lip balm that you have. Okay, so then it's going to be all about market. It's going to be all about the financials. And then it's all going to be about you and your experience secondary. And that's how you can mold the story through. And it doesn't have to go through step 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you go on to, you can download templates anywhere, right? You can go on to Canva and they have a whole heap of business plan templates on there. And they're really good. But they're very generic, right? And they're very formal as well. And they don't have your story. So I think the key that I want you to take away here is it's your business and it's your story and it's unique. The formula is you need to have who we are, the market and the competitors and the financial, but the order and the mashup of it doesn't matter because it's up to you and how your story evolves. Okay. So
I just want to interrupt just for a second because just to explain to people, the reason I was typing there is I'm helping Alison right now do her marketing because I took a screenshot of that slide, Alison, okay? Oh. And I took a screenshot of you presenting. I tweeted it out because there could be other people watching that need a webinar on this. So just a little tip, folks, if you are watching something and you love what Alison's saying, maybe you could quote her and tweet it out or something or comment. And if you have any questions, absolutely comment as well. Sorry, that's just in case people thought I was being rude typing. I was actually helping Alison.
Thank you. Thank you. So there are some tools which can make your life easier, right? And you know yourself, if you are looking at a presentation or a summary document, you don't want to have to read scrolls and scrolls and pages and pages and pages of information because you get bored. And then at a certain point, your eyes and your brain will just start scanning and you're not taking in the information. So when you're talking about the market, right? Some of the best tools you can use is something that's called a SWOT, right? So that's where you evaluate yourself against the market and the competition. So what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your opportunities? And what are the threats? So the threats might be a competitor releasing a similar product. A threat might be if you have an IP, intellectual property. Threat might be that someone copies it, right? The threat might be you might not get the patent you wanted. The threat might be that we have another pandemic and you have to change your business model again. You know, these are all things that when you break it down, when you're sitting there with a blank page in front of you, it's a very, very hard exercise to actually get your brain to start thinking and writing it down. And in this, all you're looking for is bullet points.
My weakness for the Women's Inspire Network would be that we can't reach people who actually aren't on social media. They wouldn't know about us.
Yeah.
That aren't online. That's our biggest weakness.
That's a fab one, right? And then when you see your weaknesses and your threats listed out, they're your new goals. They're your new actions, because it really can help you to just translate what's in your brain. And your brain's incredibly busy. And you just need to, you don't want to do a brain dump. You want it to be a little bit structured so that you can, you know, get that information out thread by thread. Okay. And this is a really nice tool that people are familiar with, but it really structures your communication style, right? And what's really nice as well is evaluating your business services or product, in your opinion, against a competitor. So what's really nice is a little table like this. And you just say competitor A, competitor B, and us. And you list, you know, some of the things. So do they give you a dedicated contact point? Are they industry accredited? Do they have the capability to manage multiple clients? And you put little dots to say, we can do all this, but our biggest competitor can only do some of it.
Yeah.
And that really shows how you are different from your competitor, because everybody is doing something a little bit different. And this is a really nice way to demonstrate that very clearly and in a way that people really understand, because you could spend like 10 minutes trying to explain, the intricacies and and it just ends up like a little bit of speech vomit. Whereas this is much, much clearer, and it's really quite simple, right? A good search on Google, maybe a couple of phone calls. Don't be afraid to call your competitor, pretend you're a client, and ask them some questions.
Well, that's funny, because one thing that happened with us was for me with Women's Inspire Network was I reached out to a few networks when I started in business, and I didn't get a response sometimes till a week later. And so I decided that would be one of our unique points, is that you get a response within a half an hour. You know, and people are always surprised when I do respond so fast. But also the other unique selling point was the fact that we were already online when the pandemic hit. Everybody had to learn really fast, but we were already here. So
no, that's a great point. So then if we move on to the financials, I hate when I was reviewing business plans and people would put in front of me a table of numbers, and it was just a page of numbers, no text, just numbers. Gone. I've left the room. I'm done. Right? I can understand it, absolutely, but I do not have the attention span, and I have quite a low attention span anyway. But I do not have the attention span to sit there and focus and work it out. You need to be putting the tables in the appendix or as an extra slide that you're not going to present. And if they're interested, let them go and find it. What you want to be presenting is a graphic, a little chart, a pie chart, a spider web chart. These are much, much more powerful tools that you can then use a little bit of text to explain exactly the points you want to get across. And then you just put a little comment on the bottom. More information can be found on slide 6 or whatever, because especially it's, even if you print it out and it's a physical document, or I'm sitting looking at it as a PDF on my computer screen, or you're presenting it on a wall. If you have a page full of numbers, no one's going to actually pay any attention.
Okay.
Right? It has to be a chart. I think be very careful with charts. Colors are really important. Psychologically, think about the colors that you're using and what we think of those. Don't use a red, for example, because red means danger. Red means you're not making money.
Oh,
okay.
Interesting.
Don't use orange. Orange means danger zone. Need to watch out here. Be careful. Traffic lights, use very neutral colors, blues, things like that. They're really good for demonstrating things. Things like yellow, it doesn't show up. People can't see it. So just be aware when you're doing charts and things that you think about your audience and the psychology of color in there as well. Okay.
I'm going to get you to do my business plan. I am. It just all makes so much sense and doesn't even seem scary when you're talking about it, which is the idea of the webinar.
Well, yay! Fine. Well, at least this is useful to you. That's great. So I mentioned at the start that you might have to, and I've only got 2 more after this, and that's it. But I mentioned that you might have to have a report or document to go with it. And that as well can be super, super scary. I hate writing reports, right?
Mm.
The cheat to this is make your presentation first, right? And in the notes section on the PowerPoint, write the text and then copy it and dump it into a Word document, okay? Do it at the same time as you're doing your sections on slides. Because what you want is your report to have the same flow and story and a cohesive message to your PowerPoint summary.
Yes.
Okay? That's really important. If you don't have that, it's noticeable, right? And things like that will put people off from investing or supporting your cause. If you have a cohesive message, you're using the same words, you're reinforcing the same phrases, then, and you have the same format and the same flow, that really makes a difference and honestly can put you to the next level, because a lot of people write them separately. And when you write them separately, oh gosh, what did I put on slide 2? Oh, I can't remember. What was I trying to say here? It's not the same and it doesn't work. So if you're writing it at the same time, it's less of a chore, right? And all of a sudden, all your hit points. You've built out your competitor table. And so as you're building out your competitor table, you can write that up at the same time to say, okay, competitor A, this is their website. They offer this package for this costing, and you write it out, and it's just a single dot on your presentation, but you've already got that paragraph of text written, and then you just dump it into your document. And being able to do that at the same time makes all the difference to the person that's going to read it. Okay. Et voila, it is done. It's literally as easy as that.
Excellent.
So some takeaways, okay? For me, a business plan is something that is a live document. When you make your strategy, and I am on strategy, hands up, disclaimer, I believe that you write your strategy and you review it every 3 months. As you adapt and change your strategy, you should be updating your business plan, okay? It shouldn't be hard. It's just a few tweaks here and there. But then when you're required to submit it somewhere, it's just a quick review, and it's not this mammoth task that you need to do while you're trying to run a business, while you're trying to run your home, while you're trying to release a new product, and you have a million things going on. If you can stay on top of it and review it, even every 6 months, that will make a massive difference to the way that you approach it and your mindset to it. The other thing goes back to like my original slide. Keep different versions, right? You should have a sanitized version because not everybody needs to see your numbers, right? They're your numbers. So you should be really selective as to who sees your numbers, who sees your market intelligence information.
Yeah.
You should be really selective who sees how you evaluate your competitors.
Yes.
Because that's not relevant to some people, but it's very relevant to your competitors. So no matter the size of your business, you don't want that information out in the public domain. So you should have a sanitized version available so that you can then send it on if needed. And then if they want more information, you can send it directly to an individual, but not to the world, right?
Brilliant.
And then finally, going back to the old CV analogy I used a minute ago, the majority of us are quite modest, right? This is a time to champion your business. Think of it as a CV. You need to be championing your business. So get someone who is not in with you or outside of your headspace, a friend, maybe a family member or someone else to read it and review it for you. One, they're going to pick up on all your grammatical and spelling errors. I sent this to my husband and he was like, Alison, I can't spell. So, he picked up them all. And yes, sorry, I'll be quiet really quickly. They'll pick up on all your grammar and spelling, but they'll also push you to publicize and to celebrate your successes within your business plan a little bit more than you might. Okay. And then finally, you can tame the business plan, right? It's easy. It's not scary. You can easily tame the beast. With a little bit of structure and thought, your business plan is going to be a shining light. I hope you find it helpful.
Yay, thank you so much. So sorry, I just realized the time.
No, I'm sorry.
We did our virtual coffee at 11. So I'll just throw the link in, everybody, so you can see it there in the Facebook group. I'll go and join you on the Women's Inspire virtual coffee. But that was amazing, Alison. Amazing. Brilliant. Well done. Welcome. Well done, you. And thank you all, everybody. Thank you so much. Alison will pop on to look at the comments later if there's anything she needs to engage with. But Alison, you were thinking you might do something later. Are you coming to the coffee morning?
I'm going to the coffee morning, yes.
Right,
yes.
So we can ask you questions there maybe. Would that be okay, yeah?
Yes,
and if anyone wants to ask Alison a private question, it's alison@idone.ie. So thank you so much, Alison. That was very good, and I will be in touch. We'll be chatting later anyway. I'll see you in the coffee morning, everybody.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.